and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, Governor Sanwo-Olu gives assurance of the construction of the 4th mainland bridge in Lagos, lists measures to break the gridlock at the Apapa port. Electricity Workers Union picket Ministry of Power locks minister and staff outside the building as the House of Representative members summon ministers of Power and Labour over planned strike by workers. Federal government orders investigation into the invasion of the Federal High Court Abuja by officers of the Department of State Services. And Myanmar's leader Aung San Suu Kyi defends her country against claims of genocide at the UN International Court of Justice at The Hague.
On business news tonight, oil prices drop 1% following surprise increase in United States crude stockpile and lower demand outlook concern.
On sports news tonight, ex-Italian footballer Gennaro Gattuso replaces Carlo Ancelotti as Napoli FC head coach.
And from Abuja, federal government seeks the assistance of traditional rulers in tackling the challenge of drug abuse in their various communities.
Easing the gridlock experienced on Lagos roads, the need to expand the road network in the state, and more importantly, the construction of the 4th mainland bridge are top priorities of the Lagos state government. The state governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, says more than ever before, his government remains committed to the construction of the 4th mainland bridge. He explains that the process is currently ongoing as the expression of interest for the project will end next week. The governor was a guest on our breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
We've advertised 2 weeks ago and we've been internationally, to say that we have the alignment, we have the right of way for the 4th mainland bridge, we have all of the biometric study that we have done. Let everybody worldwide, let everybody come and play in it. In our head, we believe it's about $1 billion. I mean, it's give or take. I'm just throwing a number, right? So it's there.
Dollars or naira?
Oh, it has
definitely.
To be. It has to be. So the 4th mainland bridge, by the grace of God, we should be able to close up on the commercials by the middle of next year. Okay. That's why it's been advertised. So the advert is closing. The expression of interest is actually ending, I think it's next week. Okay. So, and we've gotten a lot of people making inquiries, asking questions. A lot of people are interested. Okay. So we do not want to do 4th mainland bridge under the table or just people that we know. We want the best quality, at the cheapest cost and at the closest time frame for Lagosians, because it's required. We're working with 2 prongs, so federal government also has a task force that is working, and the state government also has a full complement. So with MPA, we're also doing a lot of things. First, we're also trying to see how to provide infrastructure for these trailers, because if you also don't provide alternatives, they'll keep coming back. So we've identified, a trailer park that is going to take 6,000. The investment have been put together, and the construction will start in earnest. Part of the challenge that they have in Apapa is also the issue around inside the port itself. This is one of the reasons why I also went to China, to ensure that the investor, which is about $1 billion, the investors are real and they've started work. That will be the long-term plan. The long-term solution is to decongest that port and have other ports in Lagos being built. So we've started the construction of the Lekki Deep Port. Is to also quickly finalize conversation on the Badagry port. Those are the long-term solution that will take the city, out of the port.
Away from Lagos to the nation's capital, Abuja, where there's been an unusual showdown at the head office of the Federal Ministry of Power as members of the Electricity Workers Union picketed the ministry today, denying the minister and other workers access to their offices. The protest comes on the final day of a 21-day ultimatum given to the Minister of Power to address their grievances. Meanwhile, the matter was raised in the House of Representatives, prompting the Speaker to schedule a meeting with the Ministers of Power and Labour to quickly address the issue and avert plunging the nation into a blackout.
These electricity workers are protesting, among other issues, for non-payment of severance packages for former staff of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN. They say there are over 2,000 of their members who were affected by the unbundling and are yet to receive their full entitlements since 2013. But this is just one of the many reasons why they are picketing the Ministry of Power.
As I speak to you, some GENCOs have refused unionization. Some GENCOs have rejected union officials from entering their premises. DISCOs, many DISCOs are paying half salary. Some DISCOs are not remitting their pension counterpart. They are not paying the pension. Some DISCOs, up as I speak to you, have no condition of service.
They insist on having the Minister of Power address their demands.
The minister is aware of most of those issues. We have written to the minister, we have sought audience, but nothing has been done. We are here to take what belongs to us. We are here to claim our right. And that's why we shut this place down today. This is the office of the Minister of Power, and we say the minister will not enter this office until our demands are met.
The subject of the motion.
Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, the impending strike by the electricity workers is raised by the Deputy Minority Leader as a motion of urgent public importance, especially since it is the final day of the 21-day ultimatum issued to the Minister of Power by the union.
The House is further aware that the workers under the auspices of the National Union of Electricity Employees accused the Ministry of Power of failing to respond to their strike notification letter, which expires on the 10th day of December 2019.
Once they pull the plugs,
The Speaker wades in promptly and calls for a meeting.
Clark, we invite the ministers of power, labor, and the DG pensions, because you mentioned pensions as part of their grievances, to meet with the leadership of the House, 2 p.m. tomorrow.
The lawmakers agree that the country, already battling epileptic power supply, cannot afford to drop further into total darkness, which will cripple economic activities. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And staying with industrial actions, the Academic Staff Union of Universities is also threatening to embark on a nationwide strike should the federal government stop the salaries of its members who have refused to enroll on the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System. The president of ASU, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, says the decision is part of the resolution of the union at its INEC meeting 3 days ago in Minna, Niger State. The federal government and ASU have been at loggerheads over the new payment platform, which the government insists is to help stop fraud in the system.
ASU shall resist government's attempt to repudiate any aspect of the 2009 FGN-ASU agreement. The agreement provides a blueprint for the revitalization of Nigerian universities. Our future as a nation depends on it. The razzmatazz of the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation over IPs is for us in ASU a distraction. Comrades and compatriots, our union has noted with regrets the unwarranted hostility of some vice chancellors towards individual members of ASU and ASU as a union. Some of them have stopped our union's check-off dues on the flimsy excuses that there are splinter groups whose existence could be traced to them. As resolved at the ASU-NEC meeting at the FUT Minna on 7 to 8 December 2019, should the Accountant General make bold his threat to stop the salaries of our members, the union shall activate a standing resolution of no pay, no work.
The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress has handed a 2-week ultimatum for states to conclude all negotiation on the consequential adjustments of the national minimum wage by the end of December this year, or risk industrial harmony. The president of the NLC made this known in a 3-page communique issued at the end of the meeting with the state chairman of the NLC in Abuja. Meanwhile, the workers' unions have commended the federal government and some states that are already implementing the national minimum wage and its consequential adjustments. Moving on to other stories now, the Senate is asking all tiers of government to declare a state of emergency on the provision of employment across the country and implement a mechanism to put this in place. The resolution was reached after consideration of a motion on the escalating rate of unemployment in the country, sponsored by Senator Ike Ekweremadu. Senator Ekweremadu lamented the large number of graduates from higher institutions in the country who are unemployed, describing the situation as a time bomb waiting to explode. Other lawmakers who commented on the matter advised the federal, states and local governments to revitalize existing industries and initiate a sustainable employment fund for the payment of stipends to unemployed Nigerians until such persons secure employment. A major concern for the Independent National Electoral Commission in recent times has been the need to end the recurring violence during elections and also the need to ensure prosecution of electoral offenders. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says INEC is ready to submit a proposal on electoral reforms to the National Assembly to address these concerns. Professor Yakubu explains that a major recommendation is the introduction of a new approach for deployment of security for future elections. He was speaking at the opening of the last meeting of the Interagencies Consultative Committee on Election Security, where police authorities also announced that 49 persons have been arrested in connection with the violence that trailed the governorship elections in Kogi and Bayelsa states. The first female senior advocate of Nigeria has joined the call for the release of the Revolution Now convener, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, following a court order granting him bail. Mrs. Folake Solanke is displeased with the state of things as she demands for the obedience of the law. She made the comments at the annual conference and book presentation in her honor and her recognition as the first female silk in Nigeria.
Together in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit.
Compromised by anybody. And as I said in my paper, next to the right of life is the right to liberty. So we must continue to plead with the authorities to release Sowore and Bakare and all the others who are unlawfully detained, because there's a court order by the Honorable Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu that they should be released.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the federal government has put in place machineries to investigate the invasion of the Federal High Court by the Department of State Services. He mentioned this after a short visit to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Toho, where he expressed worries over the incident, but noted that he would wait for the outcome of investigations into the matter. The AGF, however, gave the assurance that the government remains committed to the rule of law and sanctity of the courts. Mr. Malami said aside the case of Omoyele Sowore, there are a high number of serious cases the federal government has interest in, but will observe the rule of law in pursuing those cases. In part two, after the break, wife of the president, Aisha Buhari, blows hot again, accuses presidential media aide Garba Shehu of undermining her office. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.